to be able to work with it to make it so we can live here the way the Indians used to live without destroying it, because leaves and the sky and the rivers, and they knew about them and they worked with them for their existence. Whereas people, two of the main courses I recommend are physics and biology. People observed that more. If it was taught in grade school, you look at the architectural magazines. Actually, we were just in an architectural magazine, Architecture Journal, and British Architecture Journal, making some of these points. But architecture, as you normally see it, it's basically an ego monument to the architect or designer. It's an energy hog. It's maybe inefficient, it's whatever, but it's all sculpted and all super artwork, so to speak. If some of it you could call it that, and some of it you can't. I think what I set out to do, and again, it wasn't like a plan, it was like I just slowly stumbled into it, but I set out to make buildings take care of people in a way that was in more or less, I'm sort of tired of the word peace and harmony and all those kind of words, but congruent with the forces of the planet, the phenomena of the planet, encountering the phenomena of the planet in a way to make it so people can live here. In terms of new things, everything we're doing is new every 3 months because it keeps evolving, and I see no end to that. The buildings are a lot like automobiles, you know. The automobiles keep evolving. They have better systems, better speed, better tires, better holding the road, better handling. They all evolve to be better every year, and these buildings are the same way, and that in itself is exciting to know that these buildings can do all of this now, but they're in years to come, they're going to be doing it even better, easier, cheaper, easier for people to put it together, more reliable. All of those things are happening. And, you know, there's the difference between, say, a Model A Ford and a 2002 BMW. A radical difference. But the Model A Ford got you there. The BMW gets you there a lot faster and a lot more fun and tunes and air conditioning and everything. But the essential idea was there. And so I think we're maybe at the 49 Ford stage here, and headed toward the 2002 BMW stage as time goes on. We're evolving these things. So I think the future does show where we're looking ahead to these things being better and better and better, and that's why we want to build a lot of them, because each time we build one it gets better. They're evolving in that respect. And so we're looking at developing these communities. We finally have gotten it legal for us to do this. We're doing communities now, but I'd like to do what is called a colony. I would like to do like a small town, basically, to demonstrate that you don't need infrastructure and that the whole situation can evolve from just the cellular building itself. If you discovered in Dayton, Ohio, if you discovered gold in your backyard, you would not have to advertise that you had discovered gold. Word of mouth would spread like wildfire, and people would be surrounding your house within a matter of hours if you had discovered a major gold mine. Well, I look at this as gold. We're discovering methods of living which are, to me, as good as gold. And if they are right, we won't have to sell them to people. We do have to say, come stay in this house and see what it makes you feel like. We do have to do that, because you can write books and you can do videos and I do lectures and stuff, but you can't get people to understand what it's like till you put them here and it feels good, and then they're aware of the fact that there's no utility bill, that your utilities are free and independent of the wires and the costs and the nuclear power plants, and that your waters come from the sky only, there's no middleman between you and them, and that your sewage is being used to make plants beautiful for you to be around. In other words, when you understand those things and then you see what it feels like as well, then people make up their own minds. And we do need to demonstrate that, and that's what we're doing these communities for. That I'm thinking a lot about lately, and that is in terms of evolution of people and humans. Normally, people in a municipality, they put a bond issue together or vote or whatever to increase taxes or whatever to get $40 million together to build a power plant, or $30 million for a sewage treatment plant, or $25 million for a water facility, and then all the infrastructure and everything to deliver it and so on. And then let's say that some town in Ohio does that, and which they have done many times, and they spend $50 million on this utility, and it takes 6 years to build it, and then they've got to use that thing for the next 50 years. Even if the technology evolves, and technology is evolving fast, they're stuck with this centralized system that they just spent $50 million on, and they're not going to change for 50 years because they can't afford to. That in itself is an argument for decentralizing utilities. Centralized utilities lock us into a 50-year increment of evolution, and that is not fast enough given the changes in the planet and the growth in population. Evolution has to take place in more or less a 6-month, 5-month increment. So if you're building housing that has its own utilities, every 5 months the technology can evolve, and it does. We've seen it. Every 5 months we do something, we do different things and evolve these methods. And of course we have overlap, and so really things are evolving every month. But it's the cellular, individual home that is self-contained, because it can be built for $200,000 and built in 3 or 4 months. That allows evolution to take place faster than every 50 years. And the proof of that, scientifically, is bacteria and virus, and insects. But bacteria and virus, they're cellular, and they multiply and evolve. They can evolve a resistance to penicillin in a matter of weeks, and because they're cellular. And I look at homes for individual people as cellular as compared to massive city systems. So I think one concept that needs to be put out there is that if we are to evolve at a fast enough pace to keep up with planet changes and population growth, then we have to evolve in a cellular fashion, and every building must be self-contained to allow that to happen. And every building must be self-contained to allow that to happen.
This is how my house started. Very small and very modest. Actually, not last year. This is 2 years ago. I had built this one room. I got a solar panel. And you can't even see the dome anymore because I did this huge, and I added addition to it. 457 square feet. The dome was 110 square feet. I like quadrupled the size of my space. And 457 square construction. So
it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
Great.
So
congratulations.
Thanks.
If we are to evolve at a fast enough pace to keep up with planet changes and population growth, then we have to evolve in a cellular fashion, and every building must be self-contained to allow that to happen. And centralized utilities should be a thing of the past.
My last question to Reynolds: what is your dream?
I think this is it. I think I'm in it. I'm engulfed in it. So I can't keep the dream separate from the reality in it, and I like it that way. I wouldn't try to.
It is especially timely that my visit to the greater world community occurred just before the huge blackout of August 2003, when many of us were reminded of just how dependent we have become on our current energy systems, which are not always reliable. Michael Reynolds has called Earthships just what we need: independent vessels to sail upon the seas of tomorrow. In the introduction of his latest book, Michael Reynolds states, in the 1940s, New Mexico designated several thousand acres of land for testing weapons of nuclear destruction. There, scientists dropped an atomic bomb. Many codes and environmental standards were put aside for this endeavor in the name of defense from our enemies. Can't we now take this same bold step to designate both acreage and legislation in every state to explore methods of sustainable life on this planet? The evolution of sustainable living methods must be allowed a test site, free from the crippling restraints of laws, codes, and basic human encumbrances in the name of defense from our own failing methods of living. Acreage and legislation in every state to explore methods of sustainable life on this planet.
It's a project in France, which is the first residential Earthship in Europe to receive a building permit, so it's a big deal.
Acreage and legislation in every state to explore methods of sustainable life on this planet.
Mike did the tsunami relief project a couple of years ago.
To designate both acreage and legislation in every state to explore methods of sustainable life on this planet.
Hurricane relief project in Mexico, and he just started a project for a client in Ithaca, New York.
I hope that you've enjoyed your tour of Earthships today. Michael Reynolds is a relentless pioneer who seeks a better tomorrow today. Do visit his website. It's an extensive introduction to the world of Earthships.